Namaste. I hope you all fine at home. Now let us see industrial policies in India. Now we have made the list of industrial policies here. Industrial policy 1948, industrial policy 1956, industrial policy 1973, then industrial policy 1977, industrial policy 1980, industrial policy 1990, and new industrial policy 1991. These are policies we are going to study. More of we study the industrial policy of 2010 to 15 also. So now let us see in brief meaning of industrial policy, and just we'll see we'll have a glance over them so that you will understand what is industrial policy in brief. The industrial, see, we know that here for the development of any country, industry is very important. So when it is to be, all the industries are to be perfect, they are to be controlled. So that's why government has made so many rules and regulations to here control the industries. The policy, industrial policy here refers to government policy towards the development of industries, their working and the management. Here, the industrial policy indicates the, so what kind of industry it is, whether it is a large, medium, small scale sector, all these. And here, the government policy here they have to define towards what it is, whether here towards foreign capital, labor, tariff, or any other related aspects. So that's why for the development of any nation, industrial development of a country is must. That's why they here industrial development of the country must be well defined, shaped, guided, fostered, regulated, and controlled by the industrial policy. So before independence, during that is during the British days also, the government followed a policy that was called a laissez-faire in industrial development. So that was the only here industrial policy which enabled country to run the industrial activities. Okay, now see after the independence, what all the different industrial policies are there that we'll see. Now, in just what is the meaning here in brief? Industrial policy means rules, regulations, principles, policies, and procedures which are laid down by government for regulating, developing, controlling industrial undertakings in the country. So all the industrial policy they prescribes the respective roles of the public, private, and joint cooperative sectors for the development of industries. So that's why it also defines, it indicates what kind of industry it is, whether it's a large, medium, or small scale sector. And it also incorporates the fiscal and monetary policies, tariff policies, labor policy, and the government attitude towards the foreign capital, and the role of multinational corporations or companies in the development of the industrial sectors in particular country. So now see, this is what here is industrial policy, what we study, what we are going to study. Okay. When there are industrial policies in particular nation, then what are the objectives of industrial policies? So the industrial policies, they are there to accelerate the overall rate of growth through industrialization, growth of the economy through industrialization, overall growth of the nation through industrialization. Then the aim to expand the industrial base in relation to industrialization, which are very much required for the country. Then they have to create the employment opportunities and to reduce the poverty. When employment opportunity is there, obviously we can reduce the poverty because all the people get employment under in the industries and all this. Obviously they get the income, their standard increases. Obviously there will not be, or we can reduce the poverty, we can say. then all here monopolies can be controlled. We can monopolies can be prevented by concentrating on industrial power. Monopoly means here few or only one seller will be there or producer will be there. Whatever he produces or whatever rate he fixes to the products, we here with that only we have to buy. We should not see the quality price whether it is reasonable or not. Then obviously what happens, the consumers are exploited. So to avoid that, industrial policies are required. Then always you remember, if there is no competitive environment, what happens? There they enjoy monopoly. If there are no competitors, obviously there will not be any healthy production or any good production we get. It is highly impossible to get good products. So when competitive environment is there, obviously more and more entrepreneurs are coming up, and among them only competitions will be there. Then obviously to stand in the market, they produce the good quality products with a reasonable profit and with the reduced cost. So that is also possible. So that is the main policy of the main objectives of the industrial policy. Then all the reasons, see, all the reasons, maybe village or remote village, all the reasons are not equally developed. So the policy or industrial policy, they aimed at balanced industrial development, means all the places must get the here must have the industrial activities. In all the places industrial activities are to be run, so that there will be development of that particular place. When industries are there, then obviously infrastructure development will be there, power will be supplied, water supply will be there, transportation supply will be there. Obviously it develops the industrial policies. Here when industries are there, obviously these are all ancillaries are developed. So that is also possible. That is also one of the objectives of industrial policy. Then see, industry means only industry we cannot say. There are so many assisting enterprises, maybe finance, banking sectors, infrastructure development, medical. So many sectors are there. When one sector is developed, along with the industries, other sectors also will be developed. That is also one of the aims of industrial policy. Then to encourage the growth of industrial research and development, we cannot always see what product we have, we are not satisfied with that. Always we expect new thing or new shape, new taste in the product. Same taste, same kind is there for a long period of time, that obviously that product will be out of the market. That's why always newness is to be introduced in the goods and services. That's why always there must be encouragement for the research and development. Always they have to go for innovation, research, all these. That's why it promotes, what we can say, it encourages, industrial policies encourages the growth of industrial research and development. So innovation, here new items, new quality, all these are introduced because of the industrial introduction of industries. Then let us see what are the common objectives of industrial policy. So many industrial policies are there. So all the policies have their own objectives. But what are the common objectives? Those are here listed out. So to achieve the socialistic pattern of society, socialistic pattern means society must be given due importance. Society is the focus, main focus of any industry. That's why that is to be achieved. Then to prevent the undue concentration of economic power here in particular locality or particular classes of the people only, it is concentrated. That should not be there. That is to be prevented. Then in all the here, because of the agri here, our country is agro is here, we are dependent on agriculture. So agriculture is playing very important role. But what happens here, because of the only if our agriculture is there, they'll not we cannot achieve economic independence or economic growth is not possible. That's why industrial development is to be achieved. That is the goal of industrial policy, and to reduce the disparities in regional development in all the regions, all the places are to be equally developed. So we have to here imbalances are to be removed. Then always the industrial policy or industries, they are established to develop the heavy and capital goods industry. We need heavy and capital goods, because when machineries, all big machineries and all these are there, those can be used in factories or companies to produce the goods. Yeah, then obviously we can produce the goods in large scale or mass scale, and we can make more and more profit, and we can satisfy the needs of the consumers of a particular nation also. Then always when industries are there, they have to provide the employment opportunity to the masses. Employment opportunity, when employment opportunities are there, obviously it leads to growth here, increase in the income of the people. So they can by this their standard of living increases, they can lead a good life. That is also aim of all the industrial policies. Then they have to all the policies, they aim at expanding the public sector for achieving socialism means they are society is the main focus. Socialism is to be here achieved. It means the people, all kinds of people in the society is to be given importance, and all must be here made to involve in the economy of the particular nation. That is the main aim of this. Then always here, so we should not depend on other countries. So to achieve the self-sustained economy, industries are very important. All the policies, they aim at sustainment of economy. So that is also one of the main objectives of all the policies. Then faster growth, economic growth. So it is required. Economic growth is very important. Economic growth means overall development of the nation. All sectors are to be developed here. Through industry, here it is possible because it gives income, employment. So it is that. So when it all this employment, here income, everything is there. Obviously, economic itself grows. Then always here we know that India is rich, but Indians are poor. Why? Because Indians, we don't know how to exploit the or how to make use of the resources available in the country. We have to make optimum utilization of the resources. So when all these are done through the industry, then all the employment if the people get, income they get, obviously there will not be any poverty. So that is to be removed from the nation. Poverty is to be reduced as much as possible. That is the main here. That is also one of the aims of these policies, and to protect and develop the healthy small scale sectors, because we know that because of the large scale sectors nowadays, even small scale sectors are disappearing, because they cannot compete with the large scale industries. Small scale sectors, their capital also less, their capacity is also less, they cannot compete with the large scale sectors. That's why they are disappearing, but they are very much important. They are to be retained. That's why that is also one of the aims of these policies. Then always here nowadays you can see all the see there every field you see there's a technological development, modernization, all these are there. That is also to be implemented in the industries. See, industries are to be here modernized. High tech technologies are to be used. That is done. Then you know that, yeah, nowadays LPG is there, liberalization, privatization, globalization is there. Because of this, there is a free movement of capital is there, human resource also is there. To achieve that here, what all we have to do, that is also there in the policies. Okay. Now let us see industrial policy 1948. What our industrial policy 1948 says. Now let us discuss in brief. Okay, notes is already given. So in brief, you'll see it is adopted on 6th April 1948. 6th April 1948, it was adopted by Government of here, India. So this is the first industrial policy in India. That is independent India. Remember. So at this year, what are the objectives of this policy? The objective is to bring about rapid industrial development of the country and improve the living standard of people through increased production and equitable distribution. That is the main objective of this policy. So then afterwards, these industries, under this policy, industries were classified into four categories, broad categories. Those are exclusive state monopoly for new units, private industries to be regulated by the state, and fully private enterprises. Like this, industries were categorized into main broad classifications like this. Now let us see what all comes under what category. Now under here exclusive state monopoly means state control, I mean central government controlled industries. So those include the manufacture arm and ammunitions because defense and all these they must be under the control of the central government and the here central government. Then production and control of atomic energy, it is also very important. It must be under the control of the government. Then the ownership and management of railway transport, now it is under the control of central government only. And these industries are exclusive under the control of central government. The central government enjoys monopoly in these sectors. Then next second classification is state monopoly for new units. These are little liberal. So this includes coal, iron, and steel, aircraft manufacture, shipbuilding, manufacture of telephone, telegraphs, and wireless, mineral oils. All these are allowed allowed to continue in the private sector for the period of 10 years. So, but the development of new units in this category would be exclusively the responsibility of the state. Private here sectors can here do this, but for the development of new units, that is the exclusive responsibility of the state. Okay. Now let us see the third category. Third category here comes under private industries to be regulated by the state. Private industries, but they are regulated by the state. This include here salt, automobiles, tractors, prime movers, electric engineering, other heavy machineries, machine tools, heavy chemicals, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals and drugs, electrochemical industries, non-ferrous metals, rubber manufacture, power and industrial, alcohol, cotton and woolen textiles, cement, sugar, paper and newsprint, air and sea transport, minerals, etc. So many industries come under this. These industries are controlled by the central government felt whenever it is necessary. Whenever the government thinks it is necessary to plan and regulate. Okay. Then the fourth category is fully private enterprise. So 100% is private enterprise. So private, they are under the control of private entrepreneurs and or business owners. So many here, but they are also they also have to follow some laws here for the welfare of the laborers. Labor laws are there. Labor Welfare Act is there. They have to give here employment. ESI is to be paid. Then labor, according to Labor Act, EPF is to be provided. There are to be given securities and Factories Act 1948 is to be followed. All these are there. So, but they are here private sector. Here private sectors. But they are restricted by the government due to the introduction of Industrial Development Regulation Act 1951. Okay, now let us see the next policy, that is Industrial Policy 1956. So in this year, we have seen in the 1948 policy, number of development plans, places were adopted in Industrial Policy 1948. But Uh, these developments here, they are very required for the announcement of the this 1956 rules, because they are to be retained and they are to be developed and expanded also. So that's why on 30th April 1956, this industrial policy 1956 came into force, or here it was set up. So the main objective of this policy was to accelerate the rate of economic growth. Economic growth is to be accelerated. It was to be accelerated. Accelerated means in the faster growth and speed up the industrialization. And all heavy industries are to be developed. Machine making industries, the main aim was to develop them. Then private monopolies and economic power in a few industries are to be prevented. Then public sector undertakings, they wanted to expand and to reduce the income and wealth disparity among the people. So here to abolish the difference or the gap between the richer and poorer people. So that's why this industrial policy 1956, this year classified industry into three broad categories. Those are those come under Schedule A, Schedule B, and Schedule C. What all comes under? What all there in the Schedule A? Let us see one by one. Schedule A, what says? What are there? B, what are there? C, what are there? Let us see brief. So in a Schedule A, see what are there in the year 1948, such kind of industries are there. These are here. These are the exclusive responsibility state under this 17 industries are listed. So arms, ammunition, atomic energy, iron and steel, heavy castings and for here iron and steel, heavy plant and machinery required for iron and steel production. Then heavy electric plant, coal and lignite, mineral oils, mining of iron ore, other ores, mining and processing of copper minerals specified in the schedule of the atomic energy. Then aircraft, air transport, railway transport, shipbuilding, telephones and telephone cables, telegraph, all wireless apparatus. Then generation and distribution of electricity. These are all included in the Schedule A of 1956 policy. Then let us see what all there in the Schedule B. This included here the items which were to be mainly owned and managed by the state. Under this 12 industries come, those are all the minerals except here minor minerals here. Then aluminum and other non-ferrous metals not included in the Schedule A, machine tools, ferrous alloys and tool steels, basic and intermediate products required by chemical industries, antibiotics and other essential drugs, fertilizers, synthetic rubber, carbonization of coal, chemical pulp, road transport, sea transport, so many. These are the main things come under the Schedule B of Industrial Resolution 1956. Now, 19 here under this here 1956 only. What all comes under Schedule C? This includes the other industries which are not here there in the Schedule A and Schedule B. So the government provides all the facility for the development of the Schedule C industries. Financial assistance are provided. Then because they are to be set up and they are to be continued, for that purpose it is being extended by the government. Now we'll see the third policy, industrial policy. Yeah, 1973 it came into force on February 2nd. It This policy, it elaborated the concept joint sector, and here joint sector means two or three sectors jointly working or more. Large industrial houses to produce the items reserved for small scale sector. Here larger units are defined as those having assets of crores or more. More crores or more, they are called large scale industries, and these units are permitted to participate in basic, critical, and strategic industries. The existing policy of resolution of small scale sector is to be the latest industrial policy resolution 1977. It was adopted on December 23rd. When it was adopted, Janata government came into power. Development, the priority was given to development of small scale sectors, and the number was see, only before that 180 small sectors are there. It was raised to 504, and then finally to 807 units in up here in May 1978. Then district-wise industrial centers were developed. That was the main aim of that. Handloom sectors were given much importance for reduction of regional imbalances. Backward places were given importance to establish the industries. Special fiscal concession were given to export-oriented units. Small or and sick units were took over on the selective basis. Special attentions were given to promote the small industries and the industries which are having population not less than 50,000 population. Then large scale, large houses, large scale industries were developed. The public sectors were charged with the responsibility of encouraging the development of wider range of ancillary industries, and they contributed for the growth of the economies and growth of the small scale sectors and cottage industry sections. Then India wanted to achieve technological self-reliance, so the policy was concentrated on that technological enhancement also. So these are the main features of or main objectives of policy in 1980. It was implemented when the Congress government was there. In this industrial policy, very much importance was given to development of small scale industries in India. 1980 policy marked a significant milestone in the policy development and the development of small and cottage industries. The salient features of this policy was investment was raised for tiny, small ancillary units to rupees 2 lakhs, rupees 20 lakhs, and rupees 25 lakhs respectively. They are all here reservation of items and marketing support for small industries were provided. Then credit facilities for growing small industrial sectors or units were continued. Then agriculture or agro-based industries were encouraged, and moreover, the early warning system was established to avoid sickness and to take appropriate remedial measures for the very here here the industries which are going to face the sickness. Such industries were given. Then next, we'll move to the new industrial policy 1991. 1991 onwards, new industrial policies were adopted because 1991 is very important in this policy in India. LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization was here signed and implemented. So that's why here new industrial policies emerged, and its importance can seen in all the sectors of the economy. So on July 24th, 1991, the Government of India announced a new industrial policy with lots of changes. So except some specified industries, some security means defense industries, here, then social reasons, environmental issues, hazardous projects, and some articles of a very important consumption and all this. The all these were these all these except these industries, other industries are made free license were given to them, means licensing was abolished. Foreign investment yeah, in the country, in the industries were increased. High priority was given, and foreigners could invest 50 maximum 51% of the total capital of the industry or total capital of the company. Then government encouraged trading companies to assist industrial exporters and their activity and their exporting activities. Then all the levels technology dynamism in technology was increased. The government provided autocratic here approval for technology agreement related to high priorities in industries. So all the high in this policy relaxation of MRTP Act, that is Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act, was almost been rendered non-functional. It was made non-functional. And Foreign Exchange Regulation Act (FARA) here was passed to make the rupee to fully convert into foreign currencies. Then disinvestment policy, disinvestment of public sector units shares were allowed. Disinvestment was means most of the investment was withdrawn by the government, and it was the shares were issued from such companies to make the public to participate in this. Then closing of some sectors units which are incurring heavy losses was done. And they abolished CCI and wealth taxes on the shares. General reduction of custom duties was done. Then they provided the strength to those public enterprises which fall in reserved areas of operation or in high priority areas. Construction of speed boats or special boards to negotiate with the foreign firms for large investment in the development of the industries and import of technology was encouraged. Then to achieve the global competition, uh, some here policies were adopted. Now let us see what are the industrial policy 1991 and what are its objectives. The objective of industrial policy 1991 mainly industrial licensing, foreign investment, foreign technology agreements, public sector policy, MRTP Act. So it was done. Now we'll see what are there in the 1991 policies. In the we categorize it. So in the A category, industrial licensing is there. So industrial licensing was abolished for all projects except the shortlisted 18 industries. 18 industries are very much related to securities and strategic concerns, social reasons, and all this, especially defense. So except those others were made free. That was because required for the LPG. Then it was LPG main aim was like that only. Then imported capitals here, the projects where imported capital goods are required, automatic clearance were given. Then the locations other than cities of more than millions of population, there are no requirement of obtaining industrial approval for central government. No need, easily they can establish incentives, investment in infrastructure development to promote the dispersal of rural and backward areas was done. Then the existing units were here made enabled to produce any article without additional investment. That was the this. Then B point is about foreign investment in the industrial policy 1991 comes. See here what happened. They approved. They agreed 51% foreign equity in high priority industries. Means 51% of capital can be of foreign investment in priority industries. The import here governed by general policy applicable to other domestic units. Payment of dividends, payments of dividend. Dividend in the sense the return on the investment by the shareholders, or in securities what investment they make for on that return is paid, that is called dividend. So it was governed by the RBI. Yeah. Then some equity proposals were not there. It was added for the prior clearance. Then a special empowered board was established to negotiate with the number of large international firms to get FDI. FDI means foreign direct investments. It was approved in this. Then what about foreign technology agreements? You know that industry in almost all industry nowadays we are using technologies and all these. So we are not producing all the heavy machineries and technologies. So what agreement is there? That is there in the C point. Automatic permission for foreign technology agreements in high priority industries up to the sum of 1 crore was allowed. Then for industries other than those in third annex, automatic permissions of no foreign exchange is required for payment. Foreign exchange is not required. Foreign exchange means we cannot purchase or sell our goods with the Indian currency only. So we have to convert into their currency, then we can purchase the goods. So that was not required up to rupees 1 crore. Then no permission for foreign technicians, foreign testing of indigenous developed technology was done in this section C point. Then D point is very much related to public sector policy. Then what is public sector policy here? Why it is on what it is concentrated? Portfolio of public sector investments renewed with the your focus public sector on strategic, high tech and essential infrastructure from your portfolio of public sector investments. So they focus on public sectors on strategic, high tech and essential infrastructures. Then SIG Public Enterprise refer to Board of Industrial Finance and Reconstruction. So that was done. Then part of government shareholdings in public sector offered to mutual funds. We know that mutual funds and all know this. The government shareholdings are offered to mutual funds, financial institutions, public and workers. Then board of public sector companies were more powerful and professional. MOU system, that is memorandum of understanding system, was granted greater autonomy and they were held accountable. So industrial policy in 1991 E point speaks about MRTP Act, that is monopolistic restrictive trade practices. It aims at elimination of need a prior approval of central government for establishment and expanding merger and amalgamation and takeover of the companies or the industries. It emphasizes on controlling and regulating monopolistic, restrictive, and unfair trade practices, enabling the MRT Commission to exercise punitive and compensatory powers. So these were done in the MRT. Further, the industrial policy 1991 made government is pledged to launch social and economic justice, to end poverty and unemployment, to build a modern, democratic, socialist, prosperous and forward-looking India. Then such a society can be built in India, grows as part of the world economy and not in isolation. The spread of industrialization to backward areas of the country will be actively promoted through appropriate incentives, institutions, and infrastructure investment. Government also provided enhanced support to the small scale sectors so that it flourishes in an environment of economic efficiency and continuous technological upgradation. So then foreign investment, technology collaboration was welcome to obtain higher technology and to increase export and to expand the production base. See, then government wanted to abolish the monopoly of any sector or any individual enterprise in any field of manufacture except on strategic or military consideration. Defense it is and open all manufacturing society manufacturing activity to competition. So open competition was invited because to avoid the wrong goods. And the government ensured that public sector plays its rightful role in the evolving socio-economic scenario of the country. Government ensured that the public sector is run or business lines as in the Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956, and it would continue to innovate and lead in strategic areas of national importance. The laborers here they are allowed to make equal partners in the progress and prosperity of the country. Then government they try to protect the interests of labor to enhance their welfare and equip them all in all respects of deal with the inevitably technological change. Then the major objective of new industrial policy package was to build on the gains already made, correct the distortion or weaknesses that may crept in or maintain a sustained growth of productivity and gainful employment and attain international competition. Then it also aimed to preserve the environment and ensure the efficient use of available resources. Then aimed at it decided to take series of initiatives in respect of the policies relating to the industrial licensing, foreign investment, foreign technology agreements, public sector policy, MRTP Act, and so many things. Now let us see how it has been evolved in the evolution of new industrial policy is there. So delicensing of most industries help the entrepreneurs to quickly seize business opportunity. Delicensing, so license were here was not made compulsory. It helped the most industry to or most entrepreneurs to quickly seize business opportunities. Then the removal of control under the MRTP Act to facilitate the expansion and growth. Then greater inflow of foreign capital was allowed and even technology also. So burden on public sectors reduced, reform relating to the public sector like transforming sick units to good units. In case of women entrepreneurs also, not only 10% of the plots in an industry but also offering 5% additional subsidy subject to maximum of rupees 5 lakh was also allowed. So these are the why these are here evolved in industry policy 90 came into force. Then it led to dominance of an MNC on the Indian economy, threat from foreign competition due to cheaper imports and inability to meet the challenge from MNCs, because in India due your weak economic strength policies were there. So the CIS did raise the point that we have moved away from too much protectionism to and too little protectionism. Trade unions oppose the policy due to fear of unemployment arise due to privatization. Trade unions nowadays also we can do because of the privatization. Trade unions arise. Then industrial here patterns. Government here to so change the industrial patterns. Then they concentrated the government concentrated or invested in only in strategic industries. So these are the how the policy 1991 emerged or evolved. Then next we'll see second generation reform when it started. The 1991 reforms have considerably helped in improving the economic growth of the country. You know that. Here, much more rates are there that to be reaped, and we have to reap the full benefits. So that's why second generation reforms was done. Remember. So it started here again. Now it is here, severe discussion was not there. Now what happened here in the second generation reforms, they're exploiting the knowledge based global economy. Knowledge here, how best we make use of our knowledge, it was given importance. So intellectual property rights to award innovation adequate, that was introduced or came here used. Then venture capital leads to finance the risk process of the knowledge based economy is also given. Then growing Indian here transnational corporation, what is there, let us see. Indian firms wanted to enjoy flexibility in entry and exit, freedom to diversify, close down unsuccessful units, so liberalize it and move towards capital account convertibility in this. In the 1991 policy, again, the second generation reforms, high growth of agriculture was given priority. They aimed at empowering the poor. Human resource development was given importance. Cleaning the environment was given priority. Then improvement of governance was also given much importance. Rationalize the electricity prices. All these were done. So this is about what industrial policy in 1991. Then now next let us see industrial policy related to large, small and micro tiny industries. What are there? So industries here, micro means the capital not exceeding 25 lakhs rupees, 25 lakhs, and the small means between 25 lakhs to 5 crores, and medium is rupees 5 crores to rupees 10 crore. What are done for this industries? We'll see the state-wise distribution of MSMEs, micro, small, medium enterprises, show that more than 55% of these enterprises are in 6 states, mainly in Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, and Karnataka. So, MSMEs produces more than 6,000 products in industry in the country. So MSME sectors in India is highly heterogeneous in the terms of the size of the enterprise, variety of products and services produced, the levels of technology employed, etc. So this is about MSMEs. Then we can classify MSMEs into high growth enterprise, enterprise with market linkage, unorganized sectors like that. So major issues related to MSMEs are lack of, because that they face so many problems. Those are lack of availability of adequate and timely credit, high cost of credit, limited access to equity capital, lack of access to global markets, low technology levels, and lack of access to modern technology, lack of skilled manpower for manufacturing, service, marketing, so many issues, and taxation, direct and indirect, and procedure. So all these are the issues related to MSMEs. Then what we can recommend for them is, what is recommended here is, single comprehensive law for SSI sectors are like small business administration, SB Act of United States. So these are all to be enacted for infrastructure development, purpose of rupees 2,000 crore was be set up so that adequate infrastructure facilities are available to the SSI sectors. FDI is to be encouraged, and high technology upgradation and modernization of fund of rupees 5,000 crores with an here interest subsidy of 5% allowed. Recommendation is recommended for this, and to enhance the database for SSI sectors. There is need to conduct a fresh census for SSI sectors. See how we have to, they have to be accounted, they have to be counted. Then collection of detailed data about the clusters, sample survey for is to be conducted annually. Then involvement of SSI association in the census and other data collection activities. And there is need for reduction of cost of credit for SSI sectors also. Then measures should be taken to strengthen the resource support to here small scale industries, and then they are to be made available cheaper source for sources of finance. Then Lagu Udyoga Nirman Nidhi for equity support is to be planned to support standardization of procedures and simplification of forms by the banks were given priority. The height setting of technology, bank for collection and information and technology resources were given prior to develop the SSIs. Then, what are the different policies and programs are there for promoting SSIs? Reservation policies, government price preference policy for marketing SSI products, technical assistance, financial assistance. Some policies and programs are rated for SSIs. So some financial institutions in India are there. They are giving extending financial assistance. Those include IFS, IFCI, ICICI, IDBI, SIDBI. Then the Industrial Investment Bank of India, NABARD, State Industrial Development Corporations, all these are extending financial support to SSIs. Then next we'll see in brief industrial policy 2010 to 2015. So in the government announced the new industrial policy for 2010 to 15. So to enhance the investment limit of mega project from rupees 100 to rupees 250 crore for the purpose of offering benefits to them. So the policy provided 25% VAT reimbursement for 5 years for large and medium enterprise, 50% for small enterprise, and 25% for micro units. Micro and small industries, the investment subsidy has been increased from rupees 15 lakh to rupees 20 lakhs. So for the women entrepreneurs, not only 10% of the plots in an industrial areas, and but also offering 5% additional subsidy subject to maximum rupees 5 lakh. It was done attract to attract the investments in the industry and service sectors by developing um, and by developing the industries, maximizing the employment opportunities, implement self-employment schemes effectively, and to provide job to local people was given importance uh, in the states, and Pradhan Mantri Employment Generation Program launched by the Government of India to promote the agro-based and food processing industries to make agriculture a most profitable proposition. So it was such industries were given importance in order to ensure productive uses of land, multi-stored complexes for micro and small enterprise or in industries that will be constructed either through departments, corporations, or through our private sector and participation at potential sites. So, trade related intellectual property rights, TRA, TRIPR, and World Trade Organizations were widely publicized so that these could be used to generate more employment and trade opportunities. So, okay, these are done. So now let us conclude. Thank you.